I'd like to call this meeting to order. Monday, December 14th, Ross Board of Education, regular meeting. Mr. Kinsel, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb? Mrs. Webb?
Here, sorry.
Meeting to order, Monday, December. Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
And Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Please stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Dr. Kunkel, would you like to review the agenda? Any add-ons or?
Yes, Mr. President, tonight we've got two presentations for the public. One is athletics, and the second presentation is our food service department. There's two items, highlights for your approval tonight. One would be the nutritional standards set by the federal government. That will be after the presentation from food service. And the second one is a resolution from Vista Consulting to begin to analyze our facilities. Hopefully we can save some money with some energy saving items here in the future. So those two items will be on the agenda for your approval.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to review for the minutes for October 29th and November 19th? Can we get a first to approve those minutes, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes with the first. Can we get a second?
Second.
Mr. Bossy with a second. Could you call roll, please?
Yes. Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
And Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Castater, do we have any public participation?
We did not.
Okay. Mr. Castater, you want to move on to the personnel?
Under personnel, we do have one slight adjustment to the agenda on Schedule D. We're going to pull AJ Gray for a supplemental recommendation and vote on him separately. So we will be voting on first vote schedules A, C, and D minus AJ Gray for the weight training supplemental.
So we'll do that, then AJ second. Okay. Can we get a motion for A, C, and D? Can we get a first to approve personnel, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes first. Can we get a second?
Mr. Van Winkle, before we vote, I think there's a Schedule E that was added. Is that correct? So it should be A,
Yes.
C, D.
Okay, I thought okay, that's fine. Want to add, do a lot that in there? Okay, let me redo this, John. Hold on one second.
Sure.
So let's, can we get a first on Schedule A, C, D, and E? And E, gotcha. Can we get a first on that, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes, can we get a second?
Second.
Mrs. Webb, can you call the roll? Mr. Kinsel?
Yes. Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
And Mr. Chanel?
Okay,
Yes.
can we get thank you. Can we get a first on AJ Gray as
Schedule D.
Schedule D? Yep. Can we get a first on that, Schedule D, AJ Gray, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes, second.
Second.
Mr. Bossy, roll call, please.
Yes. Mrs. Hayes?
I have to abstain because of family.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
And Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Turn it over to you, Dr. Kunkel.
Yes, Mr. President, first up tonight is our athletic department, and we're excited to have 4 coaches with us tonight, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Richards.
All right. Try to figure out where to stand here. Mr. Snell, Mrs. Webb. Yeah, thank you all for having us here tonight. It's always a pleasure to be able to update everybody on what's happening in the world of athletics and go into a little bit more deeply some of what we really pride ourselves on in Ross Athletics. Obviously, this has been a difficult year. We've had a challenging set of circumstances, but I am really, really proud of the way that our coaches, our student athletes, and our families have responded to those circumstances. Okay, we've had remarkable success through the fall season and just at the start of the winter season. We've had a remarkable success despite some of the most challenging problems that we've ever had to deal with, not only as an athletic department, a school district, but also as a world. And so I'm really proud of this group, what we've been able to accomplish. As always, I'd like to start with our mission statement. You'll see I've revised this a little bit, given the fact that it's 2020 and apparently we're not done with it yet. Ross Athletics will maximize learning opportunities for student athletes across all ages and through all sports. This is what we do. This is what we focus on every single day. The coaches that are with us tonight, this is why they're with us. They're with us to be recognized for doing this, for accomplishing this mission. The ellipsis, we've added this, just for 2020, despite difficult circumstances. So some of the successes we've had on the field, on the court, on the courses. You can see we've got 4 team championships from this fall. Now, I previously have said, man, I don't think we've ever won that many championships in a fall season. Well, then I walked in the gym the other day, and I looked up at our banners, and we did. We won 5 championships during one fall season. That was in 2009. We won 5. But this is the next highest total. So 4 championship teams in one fall season. Folks, we got to ramp it up. Coaches, we need 5. And that was football and cheer, boys soccer, girls soccer, and girls tennis. Then at the middle school level, we had 2 championship teams, and these are league championships, I'm sorry, these are league championships. We had the girls cross country team and the 7th grade football and cheer teams. In terms of the OHSAA tournament highlights, there were a lot of highlights. We'll start off with, and this, everything I do, folks, is I try to stick to alphabetical order by sport. I learned that a long time ago. And so right off the bat, our football and cheer program, they did something very, very special this fall. Something that has certainly not been done before in our school history. That was they won not only the first playoff game in school history, but the second and then the third. And those three playoff victories earned us the right to host the Division III Regional Football Championship. Okay, and that is, I mean, that might never happen again, because typically schools don't host that deep into the playoffs. Now, we're going to return to the regional championship again, right, Kenyon?
Yes.
Yes, we are. But we may never host it again, given the circumstances this year. Our girls soccer team, under Coach Beaner's tutelage, they won the opening round and then lost in I hate to say it, in an overtime. It was kind of a fluky situation. In the second round, I hate to bring that back up, Coach Beaner. Then boys soccer, they made the OHSAA Division II district semifinal, where they traveled to Bellbrook, and we won't talk about it. They played a very, very, very tough Bellbrook team. Then tennis, girls tennis, Coach Bolin, her girls won a total of 5 matches at the OHSAA Division I sectional. Now, to put that in perspective, that Division I sectional involves kids from Ross with a total high school enrollment of 900, give or take, going up against kids from Mason, from the various parochial powerhouses, from the Lakotas, from Sycamore, all the best tennis programs traditionally in our city. And so our Ross Rams represented very well at that competition, won a total of 5 matches. And then in volleyball, Coach Jennifer Fons, her first year as a head coach at the varsity level, she won her opening round game, which is always a cool event in a coach's life. So very, very high level success at the OHSAA tournament level. Some of the other fall sports I want to draw your attention to, or some of the other fall sports highlights. Okay, and these will make more sense why I put these in this presentation here in a little bit when we talk about culture. Okay, our male and female participation, and these are based on roster numbers. Our male and female participation numbers are at a 3-year high. And I put it in parentheses in case you need a reminder. That's despite a pandemic. Folks, there are schools in our area that can't field teams. Entire teams are shut down because they can't field them. And it's not just because kids are quarantined or kids are sick or whatever. Okay, the kids just aren't coming out to play the sports. And here we are in Ross from our fall season with a 3-year high in terms of participation numbers. And that's at the middle school and high school combined. Okay, our high school roster, you see the specific roster increases at the high school level, middle school level. And once again, you'll understand why I put this in here and why I want to highlight this here when we get to talking about culture. So why the success? Here's what we believe. We believe this success is a direct result of our people building strong relationships. It's a direct result. Formatting's messed up. That's going to make me lose sleep. It's a direct result.
Put this together.
No, Coach Cummins had nothing to do with this. That's on me. It's a direct result of people holding each other accountable at all levels. It's a direct result of the mindset that we foster in Ross Athletics. It's a growth mindset. And it's a direct result of our dedication to service to each other. That, folks, is what we call the Ross Athletics culture. Okay? Now, some of you have seen this document before. I've actually got copies somewhere in that book bag over there. That's okay. I'll pass those out here in a second. Okay? This is the Ross Athletics culture blueprint. All right? And you can see that it just neatly fits into the RAMS acronym. Relationships, accountability, mindset, and service. One of the reasons I'm so proud of this particular document is that it is a grassroots effort from our coaches. So our coaches developed this blueprint, designed to show what we do in our culture, but also designed to be a guide for all of the people that we bring into our culture. Our coaches developed this, once again, in a grassroots effort this spring and this summer when we were shut down. We were limited to the activity we could do. Our coaches took it upon themselves to get together and not only start a dialogue, but continue a dialogue that bore this document. It brought about this blueprint. So on the left side, you've got what we believe. In the middle, you've got how we act, the behaviors related to what we believe. And on the right-hand side there, you have what we achieve as a result of this culture. And that leads us to another activity that we sponsor in Ross Athletics. That's our student athlete leadership team. We don't want this document to be just a piece of paper. We don't want this blueprint just to be a slide on a presentation. We want it to be a living, breathing guide for what we do. And so what better way to institute that than to put it in the hands of our student athlete leadership team. Our commitment remains the same to leadership. We're going to grow. And especially this year, we're going to grow amidst uncertainty. So with the student athlete leadership team specifically, obviously major changes. Okay, we've restricted the membership to both the middle school and the high school level. Last year we were at 120 plus at the high school level as part of this organization. The middle school we were at 80 plus as part of the student athlete leadership team. Obviously with some of the uncertainty, some of the restrictions involved in the pandemic, we just can't have that. And so we've had to reduce the membership. Okay? We've also had to, of course, avoid large group gatherings. And so we've had to cut out such fan favorites as the Champions Breakfast, where we had speakers come in and our student athletes would come in and listen to some very good speakers at 6:30 in the morning, willingly at 6:30 in the morning. And so we've had to cut that out for the time being. Okay, we've had to eliminate some of the large group gatherings we have to plan some of the activities that we did as a group. But what this has also done, like I think we've learned in a lot of the areas that we work in, it's also helped us kind of renew our focus. We've renewed our focus on leadership skills and on the strategies that our kids not only are going to use here while they're Ross student athletes, but they're also going to use far down the line when they're out in our community, out in our world, making change. And it's also spawned this commitment to a 4-year cycle at the high school level. So at the middle school level, Jason Rettinger, Assistant Athletic Director, he's currently at the Ross Athletic Boosters meeting. But at the middle school level, he works with the kids mostly on the isolated skills involved in leadership. Okay, so they develop leadership presentations and actually give those to their classmates based on isolated leadership skills. At the high school level, we have newly committed to a 4-year cycle to 2021 school year, we're going to focus solely on relationships and how strong relationships can bear great results. Now, once again, this is a presentation. This is one person up here giving a presentation about some of the athletic success we've had, some of the great things that our kids have done, our coaches have done. I want to give you some more evidence of this culture. And this is where I'm going to ask our coaches, come on up, front and center. Don't be shy. Once again, I don't really know where to just space it out.
We'll make it like a Verizon commercial.
So once again, we want this culture blueprint to be something more than just a sheet of paper, something more than just a slide as part of a presentation. And I'd like to present to you the living and breathing embodiment of this culture blueprint, okay? And we didn't just choose these 4 coaches by random, all right? These 4 coaches represent 4 coaches of the year on the league level, okay? Now, they won a lot of games in their respective sports, all right? But the reason they won a lot of games is because they have implemented the principles of our culture blueprint. They've got kids who care about them, and they care about our kids a great deal. These are dedicated educators, these are passionate coaches, and they are committed to what matters the most in everything that we do, and that's our kids. They hold each other accountable. They hold our kids accountable, and the kids hold them accountable. They foster a growth mindset. It's not about winning and losing with these coaches. It's about growing as individuals and as a group. And they are the epitome of service through sport. And so without further ado, our 2020 SWAT Coaches of the Year, Coach Kenny Cummins for football. Coach Kayla Bush for boys soccer. Coach Jessica Beaner for girls soccer. And Coach Jerry Bolin for girls tennis.
Let me just say on behalf of the Board of Education and our administration, thank you for your leadership, the time you put in coaching. Unless you're a coach, the time from sunset to sundown, we are always involved with students and trying to make a better life for them. And obviously, you're honored by the league. We want to honor you as a school board and administration. So thank you for all you guys do, and look forward to great things for all 4 programs. So thank you again. That's all.
And then if you guys don't mind, after you get the certificates, if you could just stand up here with this background, up here with Jake, so Steve can get a picture of all you guys together.
Thanks, guys.
Jake, if you wouldn't mind standing up there with them, kind of in the middle, and try to get all of them with that background there, Steve. You guys don't mind. Tallest and shortest, that's fine.
That's like perfect. Really? One more?
Your eyes. You can tell with your eyes.
There we go.
We always like to kind of go around the table with presentations, but if you guys don't mind, I'll start. The mission statement for all sports is extremely powerful. And, you know, that these guys represented that tonight, but more importantly, Mr. Richards, is you guys have the lead of the All Sports Trophy and the SWAT coming out of the fall, which is very, very impressive. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of it is you as a leader and Coach Rettinger or Mr. Rettinger, it is all sports, and that's extremely impressive. And culture creates the high numbers that you talked about, but also that success. So I'm glad you brought that up. So thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. So I'll probably just go this way if you guys don't mind. Mr. Chanel, do you have anything for Mr. Richards or any of the coaches or?
No, I'd just like to say congratulations to all 4 coaches and to the athletic department as a whole. It's very impressive what you guys did this year. I love the mission statement and the emphasis on the student and student athlete, and making the athletes not only better students but better community members and people. So well done. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Mrs. Webb?
So I agree with everything that Andy said. I know that athletics has been through a whirlwind, has kind of been upset with how they have to operate, but they have just really done it with finesse. And I appreciate everything that they've done. Congratulations to the 4 coaches. Truly a remarkable achievement. And thank you to Jake too for taking the lead and helping guide the programs.
Thank you, Amy.
Mr. Bossy?
Yeah, I just maybe show my age a little bit.
No,
I
you don't.
remember watching you play soccer. Ross. Not you. Girls soccer.
For the record, he pointed to Mr. Cummings.
But I had fond memories. Watching you all through the field, over and under, and then you go on to Tennessee, and coming back here to Ross, it's kind of special, just seeing you again. I mean, I never seen you with a mask, so there you are. That's you for sure. But I just definitely would have loved to have been at a football game. You know that, and I always like crossing paths with the tennis team, out there. And I apologize that I'm not as strong now, because Kayla's not playing for you, with the girls soccer. But next year is bad. But I tell you, it's been a great run this year so far. You haven't done anything yet. You just started.
Yeah.
But no, with all the challenges, it's really been fitting real well together. So I want to thank you on that side of it here.
Thank you.
But I would like to just throw one extra little bonus in there, if I may, because it's a. What I missed?
I thought you were going to give each coach a bonus. Hey, they're listening.
No.
Oh, no, I'm going to do
Bonus is that this past weekend,
We made the paper.
yeah, he made the paper. Our boy, number 2 in Ross history, Simon Stepanek, was called up from the practice squad to dress for the football game this past weekend. I don't know if he got in or not. That's the second Ross player to ever dress for an NFL football game. That just happened this weekend.
Right.
I caught that in the paper, fine print. And I think it's worth
Absolutely.
cheering about, to have the second one. I hope he gets in the game to be the second one to play an NFL game. I don't know if he did or did not, but so I thought I caught that. I thought I'd share that if you weren't aware of that.
No, I was. And I thought that was the clipping from the historic boys basketball victory.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. That's another one. But again, salute.
Thank you, Mr. Bossy.
Mrs. Hayes?
I hate going last. Just want to, echo everyone's sentiments and well wishes and congratulations and just in awe of what we've done here at Ross and really looking forward to see what we do for winter and keep at it.
Thank you.
And obviously, there's a ton of athletes that recognition of all state, all league, and all that stuff. And thanks to you, Mr. Redger, for putting that out and on all the social media things. Everybody was able to see it. So.
Can I add one more thing?
Yep, go ahead.
Mr. Bossy reminded me of this. Okay, these 4 coaches not only coach for our district, but they're all community members. Okay, So they're all community members. All of their kids either have gone through Ross Local Schools or are going through Ross Local Schools. Okay, we've got two former Ross Rams standout athletes, not only Coach Bush, but also Coach Beener in girls soccer. Standout athletes, probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 offensive players of the year combined, give or take, I don't know, 5, 6.
I have a record for basketball.
Kayla has the record for rebounds. She's very healthy.
The only record I ever had.
But that's something that's not normal in a lot of the school districts. That's not normal for your coaches to be community members, for your coaches to have kids in the district. And folks, not only is that not normal, but it's not just these 4. A lot of our coaches, they pride themselves on sending their kids to our school district.
Yeah.
And that says a whole lot about what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Guys, thank you so much. Your part is 100% over, and I'm sure you guys got plenty of good things to do now besides listen to school board meetings. So thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Young lady needs to come. Thank you very much. Thank you, nice job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
I know, a little sweaty. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. So we're moving on next to our next presentation.
Yes, Mr. President, next we have our food service department. Ms. Karen, you are up.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, one thing I learned is next time I'm gonna make sure I go after Jay, okay?
Before Jay, before Jay.
Or before Jay, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
See, you've got me so fragile.
It's just that, don't worry.
It's just you guys and TV, that's all, that's all right.
Probably 6 people.
That's good. So, hello, everybody, and thank you for having me here. Every year, the state requires a school district to acknowledge and sign a paper stating that we as a food staff in the district are following all the USDA and state requirements in serving and selling our snacks and beverages. So this information is then presented to the school board and dated and sent to the ODE. So that's why I'm here with you tonight.
Yep.
When Dr. Conkle asked me to do this, he suggested handouts, which you'll find those in your board agenda. They were attached. And they pertain on how we decide which snacks and beverages can be sold to our students. So as I'm not very good with computers and PowerPoints, as I know Mr. Bossy likes a few snacks here and there, so I decided to bring you samples of what we are permitted to sell and serve to our students. So unfortunately, it does not include chocolate eclairs and cream puffs. I'm sorry, that does not fall in the standards. So there are standards to follow for the food and to qualify as a smart snack. Mostly when looking at the ingredients, we're looking for the words whole grain, fruit, a vegetable like potatoes, or protein or dairy like yogurt and ice cream. The smart snack must also meet the specific standards of calories, sodium, fats, and sugar. So luckily, we have a way of figuring this out pretty easily. There's a smart snack calculator, believe it or not, that can be found at the Healthy Alliance or the USDA website. And the easiest way in which we find out what smart snacks we can sell are from our vendors. They usually give us a list of what we can purchase. So at all 4 cafeterias, there's a parent or a staff member may ask to see our product information binder, and this includes all of the nutrition information for all food items we either serve for our meals and or as snacks. Allergies are another concern to consider. At both of our elementaries, our 2 managers are very good about not serving or selling anything that either contains nuts or is made in a facility with nuts. Beverages fall under a different category. Any size of bottles of water may be sold to all students. When it comes to fruit juices, we may sell up to 8 ounces of fruit juice to the elementary students, up to 12 ounces of fruit juice to the middle or high school students, and then up to 20 ounces of the low or no calorie drinks to the high school. So that includes the G20 that you'll see we sell and the sparkling ice that the students like. The key with all snacks and beverages, besides being a smart snack, is to make sure that we are at least making a 50% profit, as John would like to hear. So every year, within the first 2 months of the school, I have to do a self-check of what they call a non-program foods. I take 1 week and I add up how much we spent on the snacks purchased. Then I take the sales amount and use a formula to determine if we are charging the correct amount to make a profit. The last key to selling these smart snacks is to try to find what the students would like and they'll purchase. Throughout the year, we make changes as we discover items that they like or ones that they don't like and sit on the shelves. Every school is different, and as those students continue to move to the next grade levels and the school buildings, we adjust with them. And essentially, that is what the snack and beverage policy is. I'm going to pass those out once you okay?
If you don't mind, I'll start again. If you don't mind. For whatever it's worth, my daughter, and I don't like bringing up my kids at school board meetings, but I am going to this time, has been buying more last year and this year than she's ever even considered. And I think it's because you're doing a great job of picking and choosing and what the kids can, the options for the kids and so on and so forth. So I love that. I always tease Mr. Castaner, and I'm going to say this publicly, with him being our HR director, often, sometimes he has good people he's recommending to us, and bad. But he said unequivocally, the best hire he's ever sent to the school board was Karen. And I would say, you got to go in there. So you got a free pass for a year. But Karen, thank you so much. You brought so much to this job. It's the dollars and cents, the food options for the kids. And it's just been a first-class way of doing things. So I just want to love you, thank you for that.
I appreciate it. And that is true. John and I were talking about that. Because of all the meals being free this year, the students are buying snacks, there's no doubt. We're still way behind in our snacks from last year, there's no question, as far as that goes, as far as our sales. But they are purchasing them from that.
This year's numbers, I'm sure, all going to be like that.
They're all.
And that's okay, but.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually $40,000 behind in our snack sales from last year, so.
Yeah, with Karen being here and with Ed at the last meeting talking about getting an update as far as cafeteria, just real quick, year to date, we're about 116,000 in the red. But with that, in looking at the numbers, July through September, which is first 4 months of the year, that comprises $113,349. So those, especially those first 3 months, there is expenditures that we are incurring as far as salaries and benefits that we're really almost at zero as far as revenue. But with Karen here, and I'm sure that she's getting tired of hearing from me and talking to me, but we've went through a lot of things, and I think it's important for everyone to hear just some of the reasons, and I think she's brought up a couple of those, but some of the reasons behind why we're at the point where we are. And I don't want to take a lot of time, but just those 3 or 4 that we talked about today.
Well, the hybrid, obviously. I mean, we were serving, even with the juniors and seniors leaving early, which that hurts also for us, the high school. We were still serving 350 students a day. And now we're down to 140 to 160 a day. We are offering the remote learners food. We're still handing it out every Wednesday. We're handing out 5 to 10 days worth of breakfast. Number of students that we're missing, at the school. And I mean, obviously, the obvious thing is the COVID. You know, all the schools are taking a hit in attendance right now. So, you know, the one elementary, she was concerned because she didn't even hit 200 today. And I said, don't worry about it, you know, we'll get back there, that will work. So, but the remote learning, just FYI, so you know this, you know, we're doing it to help parents and the students, and they're very grateful. A lot of parents tell us thank you every week. And, but because we're doing it, everything's prepackaged and everything's already, you know, purchased as it's being wrapped, but it's already wrapped. So we're making a very small profit off of that. So even though we hand out 136 to 190 students, so multiply times 5 or 10, you know, there's still not a whole lot of profit there because we're handing out complete meals. When a student's in the school, they have an option of taking 3 of the 5 items. So they don't take everything. So because we're handing out the food, we have to hand out all 5 components and make sure that they're getting a complete meal, including milk. I mean, we're buying gallons of milk in order to make sure that they're getting the quantity of milk that they need. So we're trying. We're trying.
We'll go around the table if you don't mind. Mrs. Hayes?
I just want to commend you. I'm an allergy nurse. So I'm taking this to work tomorrow.
Very good.
I love it. And why am I always empty? They're so cute. I love it.
You know, the funny thing is our high school kids love those cookies.
I love it.
That's funny. They're really good.
And, thank you for all your efforts in the summer.
Thank you.
There's a lot of effort. The heat and the rain and the sweat.
Now we're gonna have
COVID and
snow.
so much appreciated.
I have to say I have a great staff. I mean, we just have a great staff all the way around because they're doing it they've been doing it every week since school started, and we're gonna start one every other week, starting in January, just because of the weather. So we'll do 10 days of breakfast and lunches every other week. But they're all very willing to do what needs to be done. Thank you.
Mr. Bossy?
Reading the worksheets here, the flyers, found to be informative. I wasn't aware that the milk has to be low fat.
Yes,
Now, is that low fat 1 or 2% or what?
1%.
Please?
1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the milk.
But I didn't realize that it had to be a low fat milk.
Yeah.
That shocked me.
Yes, low-fat milk and then whole grains. We have to serve at least 50% whole grains. And that all started back quite a few years with an administration that was in Washington, D.C. So salt is a big issue. We're fighting against them lowering salt standards just because of the preservatives that we have in the commodity foods that it's going to change the taste. And we're just getting children to eat the healthy foods that we need them to eat. So, but yes, we do. We have to have either fat-free milk and 1%. We have to offer both.
My only other one is that when that person, maybe the authority comes through the district, just checking us out, call me in because I like to put a little complaint in on the size portion of the chocolate chip cookies. That's to me, it's a mental anguish to the student.
There you go. That's why I gave you those little ones, because it's more. Yeah, that's right.
Mrs. Webb? Anything for Karen?
Thank you. Karen, I'll keep this short. I know it's been a challenge for you this year in the cafeteria, but you really have you've done a wonderful job. I appreciate the variety too, and I know my kids do as well, more than they've ever had in the past. And like I said, I know it's been a challenge to keep funds up, but do appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Mr. Schnell?
Yeah, just 100% agree with what Amy said and what others have said. Yeah, like a lot of areas across the district and elsewhere, I know it's been a challenging year, but probably been the most unique year that you've ever had and ever will have. So between remote lunches and passing out lunches back in May, June, and just dealing with the uncertainty in terms of the number of students you'll have each day. So great job. Appreciate all the hard work you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Karen.
Yes.
I did not do this to put you on the spot, but I definitely appreciate everything you're doing. And I think sometimes with numbers, you can look at the numbers, but until you understand some of the information behind the numbers and I appreciate what you've done this year and last year. And I just think that we're definitely going in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you for your help.
So if we could have a motion for under C, under the superintendent's report C, the nutritional standards policy and food service, no, just the nutritional standards policy. That's it, just that. Can we have a motion to approve that, please?
Motion.
Second? I'll second it. Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Van Winkle, could you call roll, Mr. Kitzel?
Yeah, Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle,
Yes.
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Bossy,
Yes.
and Mr. Chanel.
Yes.
We'll move on to treasurer's reports and recommendations. I think we just have one thing to vote on, right?
Yes, it's the resolution for the selection of the energy conservation consultants, and they would just be doing the review and then bringing us back the result of that review.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve the resolution for Vista Energy Consultants, please? Do we have a first?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel first, and Mrs. Hayes second. Could you go ahead and call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chanel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle,
Yes.
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
and Mr. Bossy.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to final board comments. We'll start with Mrs. Hayes.
I just want to thank everyone again for all their hard work with COVID. I know this last push to the end of this winter break, come on, let's hang in there. Keep washing our hands and staying safe. Again, thank you to Jake and all the athletic coaches that came today, just in awe of their hard work and what they've done for Ross. And again, thank you, Karen, for her presentation and all of her hard work. And just Merry Christmas to everyone and Happy Holidays and enjoy your time off.
Mr. Bossy?
The most important thing, we're all in school. That's the best thing I can say is to everyone, success, success, success. School's in session here, and I am so tickled pink. To me, that is the #1 priority. All the other things we do, nice, but that's the most important thing we're doing this particular year is keeping everybody in school. A lot of challenge number-wise. I don't like to report anymore. But it's a real challenge, but we're still open for business, and I'm so thankful to, I don't know how you're all doing it out there in Morgan and Elda and Middle, and in the high school with the adjustment. Keep it up, keep it up. We're take a little breather here for a couple weeks, but it's a job well done. So that's the most important thing I said. The other one is, if I may just bring this up, light bulb hit me when I was doing the discussion with the Senate on the funding program, new bill. We still have an old dog out there. It's called the HVAC settlement. Settlement on our middle school and Elda system. That was basically, we elect, and I had a lot of words with the previous board. I I mean, they were frustrated with the amount of time and money, and it was a lot. And, but the reality of it is that we've turned the settlement against the LG product line over to Facilities Group, who have turned it over to the Attorney General, okay? I'd like to have one more effort with our state senator, who has a rapport with the Attorney General, to see if he could give us an update instead of it's in process. It's been in process almost a year now. And I'd like to just see if we could use that contact with our senator, see if he could give us a later update on what is in store. It will help us financially. We come up with a settlement. We come up with a settlement, it's going to be some dollars to our system, to our school system. So I'd like to go ahead and do that. We still have, unbeknownst maybe a lot of people, board members, a container. I don't know if you know what a shipping container looks like. You see on truck or railroads, you see these big metal containers on railroad cars. We have one in the back of our middle school on the ground, storing evidence for potential suit. And, you know, I assume we're not paying for the whole thing. I'm assuming the state's paying for it. I don't know. Not asking John tonight, but I will another day. You know, how much money have we put in that container, and how much does the state maybe owe us? Then we have to spend money to empty it and then return it. Spend money to return it, and that keeps going on. The bill keeps going on and on. We just need to bring this thing to some type of closure. It's been too long. It's been about a year now. And yeah, if I could use that contact, I'm going to see if we can give us an update on it, where that settlement is with the LG system.
Mrs. Webb?
So I just want to reiterate what a couple people said. I want to thank the presenters for coming in tonight, the coaches for taking time out of their schedule to come in, as well as Karen. And then to also just echo what Ed said, you know, I'm thankful and grateful that we're in school, but I also know the realization that it has not been easy by any means. And for those on the insides of those buildings and that are dealing with absenteeism and contact tracing and quarantines and COVID and just everything that goes with it to try to keep us in school, I empathize with what you're going through. I understand what you're going through, and I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate all that you are doing and all the work you're putting into this, and putting a smile on your face every day for those kids when, you know, probably internally it truly is a struggle and very stressful. But I do appreciate that we're in school and appreciate all that you do. So thanks.
Mr. Chanel?
Yeah, just to kind of add on to what Amy was saying, that, you know, I've really appreciated how our staff and administration have been able to adjust almost on the fly in terms of keeping everyone in school. We've moved to hybrid for the high school and done some other things here and there. We had those remote days right before Thanksgiving, but the end goal was to keep kids in school as much as possible. So rather than just, I don't want to say the easy route, but, you know, just saying, oh, we're running into some issues and shutting the whole thing down. Chad and the whole team has just done a phenomenal job, just doing everything we can on the fly to keep kids in school as much as possible. So I appreciate that a ton. Also, just sitting here thinking back to the athletic department and Jake's presentation, and it really is really impressive. I know I said it earlier, we all said it earlier, but just continue to think about it. It's been really impressive with what they've been able to do despite those issues, COVID issues, and the limitations we have there. So that's just phenomenal. I'm excited, and I should have asked Jake this, but I know they had to limit some of the leadership things they did this year. I'm hoping once things get back to normal, he'll be able to open that back up to a larger audience. But because I'm excited for when my kids are to an age where they can participate in that kind of stuff, and I think that's really unique and that's really cool. And then lastly, I'm just hoping Sean can redo his call from the basketball game this weekend. From the big win this weekend. So Sean, I'll turn it over to you so you can relive that call for us.
I really wasn't going to say anything, but I will bring that up. That was, this weekend, Ross, COVID has brought so many just crazy things, and especially athletically. And Oakwood was supposed to play Ross on Saturday and had to cancel. And Mr. Richards reached out to Lakota East, who's one of the best teams in the state of Ohio, top 5 probably in Division I, and asked them to come to Ross to play, and they said yes. And so Ross had the opportunity to play Lakota East, and they upset them. So it was a really neat game. I was fortunate enough to call it on the radio and TV for Chatterbox, but it's not about me tonight. But that was fun. It was a lot of fun. So Dr. Conkle, thank you for the presentations. That's a fun part. Being on the school board does to see some of that stuff. So thank you so much. With that being said, can we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes, can we have a second?
Yes.
Mr. Boston, could you call roll?
Yes, Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Bossy,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle,
Yes.
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
and Mr. Chanel.
Yes.
Wanda, could you keep them on and they not go live?